In this video, we will be discussing about the section 4 of chapter 3, metallic bonds and properties of metals. By the end of this video, you will be able to explain the characteristics of metallic bond, to relate the physical properties of metals with electron C model, and to explain alloys and their categories. The keywords under this section are electron C model, delocalized electrons, malleable and ductile, and alloys. So what are metals? If you look at the periodic table, you can see that majority of the elements in the periodic table are metals. All the S block elements, D block as well as F block elements contain metals, and few of the elements under P block are metals. The remaining P block elements consist of semi-metals, that is metalloids, as well as the non-metals. If you look at the properties of metals, all the metals are solids except for mercury, which is liquid at room temperature. Some of the other properties of metals are they are shiny, they are malleable, they are ductile, they conduct energy in the form of heat and electricity. We'll look at these properties in detail in the next slide. We already know that the bond formed between a non-metal and a metal is ionic, and the bond formed between two non-metals are covalent, whereas metallic bond is a bond which is formed between metal. As the name itself suggests, metallic bond is a bond formed between the metals. Now the bond can be explained by using the model, that is the electron C model, which looks like this, as you can see in this figure, which contains metal cations and freely moving electrons. So it is called as an electron C model because it looks like the metal cations are suspended in the sea of electrons. Similar to that of ionic bond, the forces of attraction in metallic bond is also electrostatic. But you have to remember that in ionic bond, the attractive forces are between a cation and an anion. Whereas in metallic bond, the attractive force is between the metal cation and not the anion and the electrons. So the difference is that here the metal cation is attracted towards the negatively charged electrons in metallic bond, whereas in ionic bond it is the electrostatic force existing between a cation and an anion. Now these electrons, so from where do these electrons come from? These electrons are the electrons present in the valence shell of the metal, and these electrons are freely moving, so you call them as delocalized electrons because they are not stationary, they are freely moving in the metallic structure. So these delocalized electrons are the ones which contribute to most of the physical properties of metals. So here's the table containing metals and their melting point and boiling point. If you look at the melting point and boiling point, overall the melting point and boiling point is high because of the strong electrostatic force between the metal cation and its electrons. Now, if you compare the melting point with the boiling point, you can see that the boiling point is greater when compared to the melting point. The reason for this is it takes much energy to separate the metal cations and electrons than to allow them to move past each other. That is, for boiling, you are going to convert from liquid to gas, which requires more energy. So you know that metals are basically solid. So conversion from solid to liquid and then to gas will require more energy when compared to melting of a solid to liquid. So the boiling points are higher when compared to the melting points. Now, some of the elements are having higher melting point and some of the elements are having lower melting points. So this high or low melting point in metals depends upon the delocalized electrons. Okay, as the number of valence electrons increases, the electrostatic force also will increase, and if the forces of attractions are more, then it requires high temperature to melt when compared to the metals which are having less electrons, which contribute to lesser electrostatic forces. One more property of metal is its ductility and malleability. Ductility is the ability of the metal to be drawn into a wire, as you can see in this figure 1, and malleability is the ability of a metal to be hammered into sheets and shaping of the metals, as you can see in these two pictures here below. So these two properties are the reason for the extensive use of metals everywhere. Metals are durable in nature, that is, they are able to handle pressure as well as they are long lasting. The next three properties are thermal conductivity, electrical conductivity, and lustrous. So the reasons for these three properties are the presence of electrons, that is the delocalized electrons. Delocalized electrons are the electrons which are capable of movement. Now the conductivity, be it thermal or electrical, the conductivity purely depends upon the charge carriers. So here you have electrons which are freely moving, and when there is movement, then they will be capable of carrying current as well as heat. So the reasons for the thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity are the electrons, the movement of electrons. Now the lustrous appearance of metals also depends upon the electrons, because these electrons interact with the light and result in the shiny appearance. The hardness of metals will vary. If you look at the group 1 and group 2 metals, they are comparatively softer when compared to the metals present in the D block. Those are called as transition metals. So this hardness depends upon the strength of the bond, which depends upon the electrons in the outermost shell. As you already know, more the number of electrons in the outermost shell, more will be the strength of the electrostatic force, and that will result in the high melting point, high boiling point, and also the hardness. So if you consider all the metals, the strength of the bonds are weaker in case of group 1 and group 2 metals, so they are soft and they can be cut by a knife. So let's see what are alloys. Alloys are basically the mixture of elements that have metallic properties. If you compare the properties of alloys, the properties are different when compared to the elements which are used in the formation of an alloy. So overall strength of the alloys are higher when compared to those of the pure metals. The reason is because of the lattice. So in this video you can see that one of the metal atom is replaced by another metal atom. So this is the structure of an alloy, and because of this there will be changes in the lattice structure, and this will result in the high strength of the alloy. Some of the examples of alloys include stainless steel, brass, and cast iron. So we'll look at the types of alloys. Alloys are of two types: substitutional alloys and interstitial alloys. Substitutional alloys are formed when atoms of one metal are substituted by atoms of another metal. So here you can see in this the spheres which are blue in color are the spheres or corresponding to the pure metal, which is replaced by the atoms of another metal. So this type of alloy is called as substitutional alloy. Whereas in the second picture you can see that the spaces in between the metal atoms are used by another metal atom which is having a smaller size. So if the metal atoms are occupying the interstitial spaces are the gaps which are present between the metal atoms. Okay, so these gaps between the metal atoms are called as interstitial spaces, and if these spaces are occupied by any other smaller metal, that will result in a interstitial alloy. This table has some examples for alloys, the composition and the uses. You can just pause the video and just go through the contents of the table. These are some questions. You can pause the video and try solving the question. The answers are in the next slide. So I would really appreciate if you solve and then you can cross check your answers if it is right or wrong. Here are a few more questions related to the topic which you can solve on your own by pausing the video. I'm going to explain question 7 and 8. Question 7. The melting point of beryllium, a group 2 metal, is 1287 degrees Celsius, while the melting point of lithium, a group 1 metal, is 180 degrees Celsius. Explain the large difference in the value. So through the question you came to know that beryllium has higher melting point when compared to lithium. Now melting point is something related to the strength of the bond. And you know, for a metallic bond, the strength depends upon the number of valence electrons. Okay, because valence electrons results in the electrostatic force of attraction between the ions. Now, if you see here, beryllium and lithium, the positions of these elements in the periodic table, beryllium belongs to group 2 and it has 2 valence electrons. Lithium belongs to group 1 and it has 1 valence electron. So the number of valence electrons is more in beryllium. So beryllium will have a larger extent of electrostatic forces when compared to that of lithium. And because of this reason, their melting point is higher than the lithium. Next question is what is the difference between ionic bond and metallic bond? So although you know that in both the cases the forces of attraction is the electrostatic force, but ionic bond is formed by the combination of a metal with a non-metal, metal which forms a cation and non-metal which forms the anion. Whereas metallic bond is also the electrostatic force, but it is occurring between a metal and a metal. That is, the force of attraction is in between the metal cation and the free electrons, which are coming from the valence shells of these metals. Thank you for listening.